of all, these are the cutest pajamas. They are from Walmart. They're like the Joyce Fund, I think is brand, and they just say Mrs. Like, I'm still getting my newlywed year in. So these pajamas are the cutest, but that's not the point of this video. So it's been a while since I told like a nursing story. And so this one is about the first time I ever had to do CPR. So I teach CPR classes, and I always tell people that you're probably going to forget everything as soon as the first like real CPR occasion happens. And hopefully you don't have to do CPR that much, but if you go years without doing it, even if you're keeping your certification good every 2 years, you just you panic. And I know everyone expects like medical people to be godly and not ever make mistakes, but you know, I think the problem is not panicking and kind of forgetting what to do. It's just not being open. Like if you're going to do that, you have to be open and reciprocating to like feedback during the moment and then afterwards. So the first time I had to do CPR, I was a baby nurse. The job I was at, I only worked at for 3 months from September to December, and I got my license in August, like end of August. So at some point I was only like a 1 to 4 month old RN. And I was in a long-term care facility, which is basically lack of resources. Like I might have been the only RN in my wing of that facility. You don't have a code team, none of that stuff. So we had an elderly patient. They actually weren't that old, but I feel like they were what we consider geriatric. And I think I was at the nurse's station, and we get the call, or somebody comes out, like they're coding or they have something like that. So I'm actually the first one to get there, and I immediately just start doing compressions. Now, long-term care is the boondocks, but actually this patient did have a hospital bed, but I like completely forgot to like pull the lever, lay him flat, pull the headboard off to give him like a backboard. I just started doing compressions. The patient was laying like almost flat, but they were not completely flat, which is what they're supposed to be. Very shortly after starting that, other people came in and were like, you need to get the bed flat, all these things. But it was such a panicked moment. I only did compressions for probably a minute, and I felt the patient's ribs break because what happened, like obviously we have a sternum, we're very hard. If you break their ribs, they become very flabby. So I felt that happen, and I was only doing it for a very short amount of time, and I was exhausted. I always like to mention this story when I do classes because, again, I was 22. I was 22. I had been a nurse less than 4 months, and I had never had to do CPR on a patient. And I reflect back, like, I hope there's no one that gets in the comments like, oh my gosh, that's why you shouldn't you do CPR. You do CPR. You see somebody down. Like now when somebody collapses, I'm so level-headed. Like I'm not perfect, but I'm to the point like my mom and them tell me that I underreact. And I tell them that even when I am a bit panicked on the inside, I do purposely underreact because generally other people are overreacting. So I'm very like quiet, calm. I'm processing and I'm trying to level out the situation. I said in another video, like I was at a what was considered a mass shooting, and like I was very calm and collected. People were fighting and all kinds of stuff was going on. But as soon as like the scene was kind of cleared, like I literally broke out in tears. My adrenaline was rushing, all of that. But I have grown so much since then to like handle those situations better. So like let this just be a lesson to like most people who are going into whether it's nursing or any type of the medical field, like especially if you're in a facility like where you might be alone for a little while, lack of resources, those things, like it's okay to be panicked and to get overwhelmed. As long as you're not doing it negligently, like you're not purposely choosing to be negligent. We are always like, things will happen. You will have learning moments. Things do happen. I'm not here to tell you to make purposeful mistakes, but mistakes do happen. There are human error, and we learn from them. Obviously, like no harm came to this patient, and I had all good intent upon doing it. But I also, like, if I would continue to do that, that would be a concern, but I did not. So just know, one, if you ever have to do CPR, whether you're medical or not, it's a very stressful situation if you're not used to it. So we understand. And then two, give yourself some grace and make sure you're doing your part to listen to feedback and then also learn how to be better for the next time.